All right, so why don't we jump into our first topic here? Nvidia's
Yes.
Botched Ampere launch. You guys clicked on this. You want to
Botched.
know? You want to Botched. You guys want to know how Nvidia has disappointed gamers? Well, it sure as heck isn't with their performance, and it sure as heck isn't with their pricing. Gamers are pretty into that right about now. Well, on the 3080 in particular. Where they're disappointing people is actually getting any 3080s in the hands of these non-disappointed gamers.
And
Gamers
having
are
them not crash once you get them.
and having them not crash. So this is kind of like three news stories in one, but the 3000 series launch has been fraught with issues. First, low availability thanks to scalper bots, and now so much more. RTX 3080s have been reportedly shipping from Newegg in what is called OEM packaging. So in other words, the bare card wrapped in bubble wrap and then thrown into a shipping box.
Just a loose box.
Yeah,
Yep.
so OEM packaging is pretty common for things like way back in the day, when Asetek first launched the LCLC, so the first closed loop like all-in-one cooler. The only way to get it, brands like Corsair hadn't launched their rebranded or derivative products yet. So the only way to get it, because I saw it and I was like, big water cooling nerd. I was like, wow, we could like water cool all our pre-built systems. This would be sick. It's gonna be the next big thing. So the only way to get it was to contact Asetek, order a container of them, and they would all just come in, well, OEM packaging, which means it's designed for an OEM. And an OEM in this context means someone who plans to add their own retail packaging solution, their own instructions, their own accessories and decals and whatever the case may be. So silly me, without really giving any thought to how it was actually going to get done, I ordered this entire gigantic thing of these Asetek LCLCs, realized that because no one really like knew about them, they weren't gonna just order systems with them in it, and also our system volume wasn't really that high. And so I ended up actually cutting up the OEM packaging, which was like multiple LCLCs per box with like foam. I ended up cutting up a lot of the OEM packaging, like cutting the foam, and then I sourced boxes, and then I had to like put it in there and like salvage other foam and like make my own packaging for these LCLCs that we ended up spending like the next very long time selling. We did get rid of them. We didn't lose money, but there was some sweat, blood, and tears of mine that went into making that a sort of successful launch. And it was only sort of successful because by the time Corsair launched the H50, did they call it? Yeah, I think they called the H50 with like the same price and, way better instructions and stuff. Yeah, it sort of looked like a bad call. Looked like kind of a bad call. Anyway, the point is, someone over at Newegg is having a similar experience. They got some OEM cards up in here. There's a bubble wrapped card. Can you imagine getting something like an RTX 3080?
Skip to the next picture.
The next one, like in the dock, or
no, in the Reddit thread, there should be an arrow to the right.
Oh wow, I don't even read it, Luke. You know that I never read it.
Did you? The like IO plate is bent.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, there you go.
It should still work, actually.
It should, but
Yeah.
still, like that's not what you want to show up when you buy a super premium product like that.
$700 graphics card. That's not.
Like you dropped money on that. It shows up with no box, no like, and I can bet this guy's not going to read the instruction manual, but like it doesn't have it, so it doesn't feel like the premium experience that you just paid for. And it's like literally damaged. Even if it does work, it's literally damaged.
Yeah.
Which is just lame. He might have already flipped his previous card in order to afford this purchase. Now he might have to, I don't know, RMA this or something in order to get one that's like not partially borked.
Jacob from EVGA gave an assessment on the Nvidia subreddit saying that a very, very small number of cards look to have been shipped from Newegg in bulk. I wonder what the point of Newegg having any bulk graphics cards is, though. Like, they did away with their system integrator ages ago. They used to, ABS, I think it was called. But they don't have one anymore. Like, the only reason I can think of to ship cards in bulk like that is to an SI who's going to essentially package it into a complete system. Like, what are they even doing? Does Newegg do their own builds? Guys, let me know if I'm just totally off base on this.
Here we go, take a look.
I mean, I'm fairly sure that Newegg ABS systems, I'm fairly sure that's dead. ABS gaming desktops. Hold on a second.
Doesn't look dead.
It doesn't have his own website anymore, but it looks like ABS is a thing still.
Being sold through Newegg. Yeah.
How about that?
Love
All
to
right,
hear that.
all right. We should continue talking about Nvidia's disappointment here. All right. So if that
Yes.
weren't enough, Nvidia's store website has been found leaking personal information. Upon realizing this, Nvidia closed the store page in question while they tried to figure out what's going on. Oof. Then, making matters worse, third-party RTX 3080s from the likes of MSI, Zotac, and EVGA have been, apparently users of our own forum, have been experiencing crashes. No, not the LinusTechTips.com users.
No.
Wow, this is like a 5-page thread and stuff. Dang. Okay. So the issue appears to show up in certain groups of games when the boost clock exceeds 2 gigahertz. Early observations show that once clocks reach a certain speed, the game crashes to desktop like clockwork. Ha ha ha, got 'em. There's currently no official statement from any board partner, but Computerbase has confirmed that they are in contact with the manufacturers and have been unable to reproduce the issue themselves. It's not clear why it's happening, with speculation around power supplies, software, or driver bugs, or even aggressive factory overclocks from board partners trying to compete with Founders Edition. Now, I'm actually kind of tempted. Where the crap is my phone? I'm kind of tempted to give Anthony a call because he was actually having some crashing issues with our first 3080, and I think that it was either just that game never got working, or he might have actually resolved it by switching power supplies, even though theoretically the power supply we had ample capacity for the RTX 3080. Let me just get him on the line while I run through a couple more notes here. So Igor's lab said it's plausibly a result of power filtering design variation for the GPU's die. Hey, Anthony, you're on WAN Show. Is that cool? Are you like off work right now or what?
I mean, I'm in the car, but it's okay.
Okay, he's in the car, so that's good. Sorry, I had to get that in there. Let me just turn up the sorry, I'm bumping the mic. Let me turn up the volume a little bit so I don't have to have you quite so close to the mic. Okay, so hey, Anthony, did we ever figure out why our 3080 Founders was crashing at first when you were working on the review?
I'm trying to think now.
It was a rough week for him.
Yeah, a rough couple of weeks. I mean, Nvidia back to back. Yeah, anyway. I think it was the memory speed on the CPU
Okay,
that
so
was causing the problem.
so not probably related to the crashing to desktop that people are seeing.
Probably not, though
Okay.
we did have that power supply thing with 850 watt.
Yeah, where theoretically 850 watts is lots, especially for a 3080, and yet here we are.
Yeah. Apparently it's something to do with the transient response and the power supply, overcurrent protection tripping, yada, yada, etc.
Etc. Got it. All right, cool. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Later. All right, so blah, blah, blah. So monolithic conductive polymer tantalum solid capacitors are being used more often on the boards that have been implicated, which is interesting. So far, crash-free are Asus and Nvidia's Founders Editions, and they use groups of smaller multi-layer ceramic chip capacitors or a mix of both. Igor's lab indicates that MLCCs offer better filtering. So users on Reddit are, of course, compiling lists of cards with MLCC groups versus pos caps, but that probably doesn't tell the whole story. Jay from Jay's 2 cents, he's an okay guy, I guess, reported that electronics engineers on Reddit are cautioning against oversimplifying the problem here. Each type of capacitor has their pros and cons, and the only inherent difference between the two that might be relevant at the moment is that pos caps perform worse at high frequencies, and cards that use pos caps could have other filtering down the line before they get to the GPU to compensate anyway. So it's a developing story. If you've got one that crashes, so if you've got one, don't check your GPU and get mad you've got pos caps. It could be fine. But that's not the only third-party problem either. Some board partners have also been accused of selling slower cards at the same price as Founders Editions in order to differentiate their higher-end SKUs that they can sell for more. Womp, womp, womp. So this was posted by Spartaman64 over on the forum. And one of the examples was the Zotac 3080 Trinity model. That is pretty rough. The card is designed to perform worse than Founders Edition, so Zotac could differentiate it from the higher-end models they're planning to put out. The point is that the RTX 3090 launch reviews ended up being pretty underwhelming to many, with performance high, but not in line with the extra cost. And there's a bunch of other notes here, but can I start by saying, was anybody surprised by this? Like maybe I've just gotten jaded. Maybe that's why I didn't, ream on this enough in our review, because what you guys see when you see a GPU review is you see Anthony's testing and his script after he and I have spent, in some cases, as little as 20 minutes, and in other cases, as much as a couple of hours, going through and adjusting it and analyzing and discussing and changing the flow and editing it. That's what you guys see. And between the two of us, neither of us, again, maybe we're just so cynical now that we're just like, well, yeah, of course the top tier one costs some ungodly amount of money that nobody can afford. Maybe we're just so jaded, so cynical that we just didn't even think to complain about it, because what were you expecting? Nvidia was very clear that RTX 3080 is the top of the line, and RTX 3090 is this because we can product. Like, look at the thing. It's only 20% faster and yet draws up to 500 watts at peak. They are clearly, absolutely pushing the limit of their engineering just because they can. Who was expecting it to be bang for the buck? Who? Where are you? Stand up so I can slap you. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Luke, were you expecting the 3090 to be a great value?
I was highly concerned about the card in general, I guess, because and they kind of did it again. But I had remembered when they were talking about performance numbers and they're being very vague with them, and they were actually talking about specifically the VR performance numbers, but they didn't really disclose that. And this time around, they didn't disclose that super clearly.
Yeah.
And this time around, they did the same thing. And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. And I tried to call that out, and people were like, no, dude. No, there's no way.
Okay, this is great. This is great. Half Empty Mug says they marketed a workstation card to gamers. Do you remember the 690? Do you remember the 690? Remember the 690?
So many of them.
Okay, so 690. 690 is really funny because Nvidia explicitly said in the keynote, this is not a card for gamers. And then, do you know what they did? They had banners on newegg.com, okay, that were like the ultimate card for gaming. How dare they? You know what the cold hard truth is? Nvidia's marketing, as far as I can tell, is as much about what people want them to say as it is about what's actually relevant. Because the fact of the matter is, the kind of customer I have spoken, not just spoken with, this is really funny. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I have gone to the houses of these kinds of customers because I gave NCIX way too much value for their money. Like, thinking back to it, I had a customer that bought one of our very, very high-end water-cooled systems, and he had some kind of problem with it. And literally, without the company even knowing I was doing it, which I'm sure is like a problem in some way or other, I literally got in my car, drove to his house, fixed it, and then like went home at the end of the day. Like, I went in the evening and like fixed his computer and then went home. Anyway, where was I going with this? Shoot. Right. So the point is, I have spoken to these customers. So the kinds of people, there's only one kind of person that buys a product like this. There's two kinds of people. There's the kinds that like just want the absolute best performance. So someone who is really after every competitive edge, where 20% different performance basically means 20% faster frame times. Sign me up. I'll take it. That's number one. Those are pretty rare. Number two is the same kind of person who shows up at the car dealership, doesn't even ask what all the different packages are, and is basically like, I don't even want to talk about it unless it's a fully loaded model. You know what I mean? I want the one with all the features. It doesn't matter what those features are. I don't know. I might need it someday. I don't want to have that stress in my life that maybe I missed out on some feature that I might have liked to use, and I can afford to not have that stress. Take my money. I'll pick it up I'll pick it up tomorrow because you'll have it ready because I just bought the fully loaded model, and that's how I swagger. That's the other kind. And those are the kinds of people to whom, the difference between a $700 graphics card and a $1,500 graphics card is frankly not that much. Because think about it this way. They already bought the Threadripper, whatever, $2,000 CPU and the $700 motherboard and the $1,000 worth of high-speed memory and the $800 power supply. They are already spending $5,000 on this system. So let's do some real fun math here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do some real fun math. If I'm already spending $5,000, what is another, what does that work out to? 800? Is that $1,500 for the 3090? So 800 divided by $5,000. Wow, 16%. So when you're already spending that kind of money, well, 16% for another 15 to 20% performance uplift, it's a no-brainer. It's just a completely different class of system. That's the thing that people are trying to wrap their brains around and not really realizing, I think, is that for that customer, it does make sense. And you can say, it's still too expensive, and that's fine. Which is why Nvidia has more than one product. Go buy something else. That's just the way that it is. The yields on that card are definitely going to be lower. The cost, the R&D that went into creating that card in the first place, given that it's going to be a lower volume model, is going to be proportionally higher on a per card basis. And there's the fact that this is Nvidia. If they think they can charge more for it, they will. What did you think was going to happen? There. That's my thought on it. I will now look at my notes and see what I was supposed to say. Any thoughts, Luke? It seems like you've been working on something over there. Is there a crisis, or are we okay?
A little bit. No, there's something cool.
Oh, okay.
Floatplane chat has pop-out now.
Finally!
It was updated, and it now works. You might have to refresh the page.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, now I can use that when I'm doing my VR streams, I hope, if I ever get them working again. All right, so let me have a look at what I was supposed to say. So workstation performance was crippled thanks to Nvidia locking off Titan driver optimizations on the 3090, directing users to buy a Titan or a Quadro instead, despite having introduced the card as Titan class. That was lame, and we called them out for that. I didn't like that either. This is only compounded by the leaked 20 gig version of the RTX 3080. Which in our testing and by NVIDIA's own admission is only 10 to 15% slower than the 3090, making that card's main advantage, which is its 24 gigs of memory, much less appealing for those who can wait a little while. Like, we're planning to upgrade our workstations. We were running into problems with our previous 2080 Supers, just running out of VRAM. The editors are running out of video memory. And we actually had planned to go Quadro P6000. So we were going to go, because they have 24 gigs of RAM, which is what we found is a really good sweet spot for some of the work that we do. And that was going to be a pretty significant compute performance hit. That's like 2 generations. So hold on a second. We got our Turing, we got our Pascal, we got our Volta, we got, so we're going all, oh wait, no, Turing, bloody hell, Ampere, Turing, Volta, and then all the way to Pascal. So that's 4 generations old at this point. But yeah, if we could just go RTX 3080, that would be great. That'd be freaking awesome. We were planning to go 3090, but we might not have to. In fact, actually, apparently we're just pivoting we're talking about the leaked cards. So Galax has leaked their own 20 gig variant along with RTX 3060 as shown in a photograph of a Galax company meeting in China. Oh, this is terrific. Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 3090, 3080 20 gig, 3080 10 gig, PG 142 SKU 0. What is that? 3070 and 3060. I am so jazzed for 3070 and 3060. Like, look at this. A 3060 class card that they're expecting to be in line with RTX 2080. Like, what?
That's
like,
pretty fantastic.
Yeah, like that could be a like 399, like 349 even card. Should I hope for 299? Probably not. It's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be 349.
I feel like they're trying to move away from that, but that would be very cool.
I'm going to guess 349. All right. And so some people are mad because, you know, the high memory versions of those other cards would eat into the RTX 3090's market position for all but 8K gaming, which is only possible on a few optimized titles unless you use DLSS 2.0. I mean, the thing about the whole 8K gaming thing is like, it's along the same lines as something like RTX last time around, where it's capable of it, but yes, you're asking for some stars to align in order to really have that experience. Personally, I found it absolutely exciting from just a technological standpoint. And yes, Doom Eternal is an extraordinarily well-optimized game, but that doesn't mean it's not a pretty one. That gaming experience, particularly Doom Eternal, was unlike anything I have ever done. And I have tried basically everything at this point. So should we look at Nvidia and say, you guys are bad boys marketing this card as 8K gaming capable, when what they have done is delivered a very powerful GPU with a ton of VRAM? Or should we turn to the game developers and say, hey, that game looks gorgeous and runs great at 8K. Why doesn't yours? So it's a chicken and egg thing. Over the next few years, we might see better optimization of games because we're going to be targeting higher fidelity levels and higher resolutions for these next-gen consoles. And we might see, you know, speed bumps or like a next-gen, like an RTX 4000 series or whatever. And 8K gaming might happen for real. But for now, I really don't think Nvidia is actually expecting a ton of people to run out and buy the card for 8K gaming and go buy a $30,000 TV to go with it. I think for them, it was just a big flex because it's something no one else can do. And, you know, dang it, if I was Jensen and I wanted to make a big flex, I think 8K gaming might be it. I get it.
If you have a marble stove, maybe you just got to do some stuff.
Yeah. Like I get it. I get it. I get why they did it, and I'm not mad about it, but I can see why people are mad about it because, yeah, it's like a big flex. But all those people who are upset that they feel misled, ask yourself this. Did it matter? Was it in any meaningful way? Were you going to buy one? Like, I wouldn't. Even at my peak of spending all of my disposable income on tech, there was no way I would buy something like that. The closest I ever got was I bought two 7800 GTXs because I found them on Craigslist for an unbelievable deal from some guy who was like, I'm kind of like sick of SLI. I want to like try Crossfire for a bit. So he was literally upgrading from two 7900 GTXs to two X1950 XTXs or something like that, or cross-grading. It's not even an upgrade at that point.
Yeah.
And he was getting rid of them for nothing because he just didn't feel like dealing with it. You can't give it away because then you get all the losers showing up and they're just unreasonable, flaky people whenever you like post something for free. So he posted it for cheap because that's when you get a serious buyer who's going to show up when they say they're going to show up and they don't waste your time. So I show up, I buy these, and like I ran them for like 2 or 3 days. That was it. Because I was so paranoid that some new leak was going to come out or some new product was going to come out that was going to devalue them or something. Maybe he knew something I didn't know, and I needed to get rid of them because I had way too much money tied up in a part that I was worried was going to depreciate so fast. So
Yeah, I on like to jump back a little bit in
Yeah.
terms of like I wouldn't buy one of these. Personally, I am very happy with my current 1440p monitor and feel no
Exactly.
need to upgrade at
Exactly.
all. And like what is exciting about new cards is better frame rates at that resolution at better qualities. Because I find like some really high fidelity games maintaining a minimum at 144 at maximum quality is still really freaking tough.
Yeah, need a little more grunt.
So like, yeah, I'll take the extra power for sure, but like I don't know. I don't need that memory buffer.
Marge Owen says, yes, it does matter. What these companies do impacts the whole market. Not really. What customers buy impacts the market. The reason RTX 3000 exists is because people didn't buy RTX 2000. That's why. It's all about what the market will bear. Nothing else actually matters. Nvidia made a calculation that they were going to make this RTX 3090 card for millionaires and the maximum performance at any cost crowd. And you're mad because you were never the customer for it anyway. And all the people who were the customer for it, they do not give a shit. That's all there is to it. They're not mad. They don't care because to them...
And they have always marketed these cards. Like Titans, come on.
Yep.
Titans were always marketed.
8800 Ultra. 8800 Ultra. It's like 12 years ago or whatever. How many years ago is that? Holy
This
crap.
whole
A long
time they've been
ago.
like, it's not for gamers.
But also,
Unless
AK
you want the
gaming.
performance.
Yeah.
It's not for gamers though.
unless you have a $30,000 TV, boys. Firestorm says, Linus, you're not being fair to some of us. Answer me this. If you did video production and can't afford a brand new RTX Quadro 6000, would you buy the RTX 3090 or the RTX Titan? It's a no-brainer. I would buy the 3090 because from that perspective, it's actually a great value. But then why are you mad? What are you even talking about? It absolutely stomps all over those previous options for that particular workload. Now, I can see people being mad about the fact that RTX 3080 with 20 gigs of RAM is coming, but that ain't new either. There's always a new product coming that's going to devalue the one you have.
Why are they? Oh, that's why they're mad? I was
Yeah.
going to ask why they're mad.
Because they don't want to...
I don't think that's reasonable either because of what you just said. There's always a new product coming.
There's always an early adopter tax.
Of course.
That's why they launched the high-end one first. That's like saying, oh, people who buy the RTX 3080 should be upset because there's going to be an RTX 3070. Of course there is. People who buy the RTX 3070 should be mad because there's going to be an RTX 4000 series. Of course there is. What do you guys want?
If you bought a 1080, there was a 1080 Ti coming down the line.
That's the game. You don't like the game? Don't play the game. Go home. Take your ball. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. There are ways to navigate this ecosystem, but you have to take it upon yourself. You have to be an educated consumer. That's how, as a student, I was able to have a baller gaming rig because I never actually lost money on it. I spent money, but it was cumulative. I would buy things for cheap. I would sell them for more. I'd build systems for people on the side. I'd put that money back into my hobby. And while, yes, I did own like a $2,000 like sick rig or whatever, that was money that had like kind of cycled through multiple parts over and over and over again. So I was at worst losing, 5% on an upgrade from one gen to the next gen. And that means you have to constantly be watching the rumors, watching the news, reading the reviews, really knowing not just the cost of the products, but the value of the products. That's why you would never buy, something that you think is going to depreciate too much because, hey, something new could come out, and then you just got owned. It's like the same
Someone in
as...
the chat
Yeah.
said 1080 Ti versus 1080 is not comparable to 20 gigabyte model versus 10 gigabyte model. You're right. I was just talking about there's a new product coming down the line, which was the current statement, actually.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?